Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and this is another of my cogitations. It's been a bit wet and miserable, although I think the sun is trying to come out temporarily, but I don't think it's going to be for very long. And I believe there is a storm brewing up north and some of it sweeping west down into Sussex, so tomorrow's going to be grim. So I haven't gone very far today. Anyway, I was looking in the mirror the other day, as you do, and I thought to myself, oh blimey, you're getting old. And then I stopped myself and I thought, what am I saying? What am I saying? Getting old? And I started to think about this age thing. I saw a picture of somebody the other day who was coming up to a significant birthday, and I thought to myself, blimey, you look older than me, and yet actually who is significantly younger than me. And I thought, well, I've actually fared pretty well then. And I started to think, what do we do when we start thinking about how old we are? We start to put ourselves down, don't we? We start to think that we can't do those things that we once used to. I remember getting very frustrated with my dad when he was slowing down, and then I'd read an article, and he was in his 70s then. This was before the dementia had set in, and he was slowing down and talking of retirement and stuff, and I'd read about this 90-year-old somebody or other who was skydiving, and I thought, wow, you know, why do we start to set limits on ourselves? By the way, I'm just walking around Homefield Park today, purely because I want to stay on the tarmac and not on the muddy and wet, soaked turf, which is wet and muddy and soaked. So I might walk up actually towards the other park as well. There's another park that might be worth going through, and that's Beach House Park. But it's fascinating to go through some of this wet mud. So is it the number? That's what I want to think about. Is it the number that makes us feel that we're old? That we get to a number and we start saying, well, that's it, I can't slow down. The lovely Julia showed me a video of this woman who used to be a choreographer and dancer in her 70s, and she was still leaping about and dancing to music in a very modern fashion that would put somebody in their 20s to shame. Marcel Marceau, the famous mime artist, he was performing until his old age, doing very difficult mime performances which utilised his whole body. Just coming up to these peculiar trees, actually, I just always loved these trees, just the shapes of them, always remarkable. It's funny because you don't hear trees complain when they get old, do you? Trees are always quite happy to be whatever age they are. I remember a friend of mine years ago when he was 40, and we were doing something and we were going for a walk or something, and I don't know, something happened, and he said, oh golly, I'm getting too old for this. And he was 40. And I thought to myself, my God, man, you're 40. You're not old. We're not old till we're in our 80s. And even then, are we really old? So what is it? Is it that we start to see those wrinkles and see the non-youthful face that makes us feel that we are no longer capable of doing... Sorry, there's a lot of seagulls up above making a lot of noise. Just tiny dots really in this camera. I've moved into Beach House Park now, and I had to stop filming just for a moment. Talking of getting old and stuff, I just had a nosebleed. Yeah, my hanky. You don't want to see it. Covered in in blood. Anyway, sorry about that. That's a sign, isn't it? That's not a good thing. What I was going to go on to say is, apart from the fact that the sun is coming out, and I wish perhaps I'd managed to get a nice walk in the countryside or something, was the media doesn't help, does it? The media, all these sort of things are aimed at young people all the time. Apart from things like what they call gold, you know, those programs that reminisce, that take us back and make us feel that when you get to a certain age, that's it is time to stop, or you're no longer relevant, and that makes you feel old. And I think that is ridiculous, because when you've been around a bit, you have a certain wisdom. You've lived, you've got experiences, you're not so frightened of things. When you're young, everything might be new and exciting, and you might be nervous about certain things, and that's very true. But as you get older, you've had perhaps some rather grueling experiences, some life-changing experiences, things that make you less nervous about things going ahead. And also, you've very often got less to lose. Have you? You know, you get to a certain point and you just start to, well, I just don't care anymore about what people think of me. People get very much wrapped up in what people think of you. But as you get older, you start to care a lot less, because actually you start to realise it doesn't bloody matter what people think of you. You are your own person, and you're going to do what you damn well like. This is a lovely park. It's a shame they don't have the bowls, the international bowls competition that they used to have here. They still play the bowls, of course, and it's nice that I've noticed, even through the lockdown, the council workers are still here getting it ready for the spring, which is nice. They've not been stopped from getting out, although they have been out in all weathers, so one does feel a bit sorry for them. But there's some beautiful plants. I mean, a lot of exotics and things that I can't possibly recognise most of the time, but I do like a little bit of what is it? Oh, laurel, spotted laurel here, look, with berries. I don't know if you can see the berries down there. And that's another thing that happens when you get older. You get to a certain maturity in life where the race to get established, have a family, find a career, all those sort of things, they're done. And perhaps, you know, you changed your mind on the career that you wanted to do. When I was very young, I was desperate to get into television and be a television star, a bit like Nicholas Lyndhurst. That was where I wanted to be, in comedy sitcoms. But as you get a bit older, you start taking interest in other things. There are other spheres of life which are interesting that perhaps beforehand you weren't. So nature, landscape, heritage, those things, they don't mark you out as an old fogey, but they mark you out that you actually start to think that there is a purpose to this world, there is a reason for everything, and you start to become interested in preserving things and looking after things and looking after yourself, of course. We're very lucky, I think, in this day and age, because it is the best day and age to be alive, with all the medical things that there are to keep you safe, to keep your health going. We have things like the internet, which is making communication in these awful COVID days a bit better, although of course we'd much rather have those social occasions that we once had, which would be much better for us, I think, and we're all desperate to get back to that, of course. So it is the best time to be alive, and we're very lucky, and of course our lives are much longer than any other time in history. But just checking I haven't got a nose dripping full of blood there. But there are still, I think, some of those old traditions, some of those old ways that very often we we have thrown away with the bathwater with the modern age, where we've become so obsessed with youth. And so although age is a thing, and that we're all going to get old, and on average we all live to around about 80, some of us less, depending on how well we look after ourselves. And of course there's no excuse not to look after yourself in this day and age, but somehow we sort of gravitate to the junk food, to the convenience, and we let other people decide what's going to go in our food, the preservatives and the E numbers and all those things, unless you're very careful. But as I said before, with age comes wisdom, and there's no reason why we can't embrace age and actually use it for our own benefit, and not become dowdy, hunched, old, and find ourselves in the way, because we're most definitely not. I'm actually looking forward to getting older, to becoming more disgruntled, to being a bald old chap who goes out, a bit of an eccentric, with his camera making ridiculous videos and silly cogitations, and then let all the young people have a good old moan at me. I think that's the privilege, isn't it? As you get older, you can get away with so much more. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think about getting old, how you feel about it. Does it worry you? Are you somebody who is embracing it or fears it? Have you got to that level of maturity yet? Do let me know. Do you care what other people think? Anyway, for a moment we've got a little bit of respite with sun after all that rain. Oh, to get out in the countryside would be lovely. But it's been nice walking around the park. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Become a patron, support what I do. It's always useful. And I'll see you on the next one. Till then, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Bye-bye.